We are paying tribute tonight to Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Soviet Union leader who, along with Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, helped end the Cold War and bring down the Iron Curtain. Mr. Gorbachev died Tuesday at 91 years old after a long illness.
Gorbachev and President Reagan managed to forge not only a mutual respect, but a true friendship. Here's Reagan's iconic 1987 speech about the Berlin Wall, where he addressed him directly.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And you may remember Mr. Gorbachev took part in a controversial Pizza Hut ad. The commercial was broadcast internationally and in the U.S. during the 1998 Rose Bowl. Here's a portion of it.
Это Горбачев.
Pizza Hut opened in Moscow in 1990, and it was one of the first in a wave of Western businesses that came into Russia, and it was one of Gorbachev's signature reforms.
Joining us now is Newsmax senior national security analyst and former acting director of national intelligence and former U.S. ambassador to Germany, Rick Grenell. Welcome back to Prime News.
Jen and Lydia, thanks for having me. This is one of those emotional issues for me growing up, watching Gorbachev, watching Reagan and Thatcher, and then serving as U.S. ambassador to Germany and all the things that we did to really solidify Reagan's legacy at the embassy. It's a day that I've been watching videos all day and remembering the rise of Gorbachev.
It really does feel like the end of an era. Now, Reagan's presidency, of course, is connected to this era of ending the Cold War. I mean, they don't make presidents like him anymore, right? And his relationship with Gorbachev. Plus, I think people forget just how close we were to a nuclear war with Russia from the 50s right through the 80s. What do you think of Gorbachev's relationship with Reagan?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important that we remind people that Mikhail Gorbachev, on his rise, was a very controversial leader. He was a communist, and he was no saint. He had a rise to the head of the Soviet Union in 1985 in a way that would not be something that we would celebrate. But what happened shortly thereafter is, I think, Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan saw something in Gorbachev that signaled reform. And certainly we saw, as former Soviet satellite countries began to step away from the Iron Curtain, there was a moment that Gorbachev could have started a war and tried to peel them back in, much like what Putin is doing today. But he chose not to. And I watched a video today where Mikhail Gorbachev said he was very cognizant of the fact that there could be civil war in the Soviet Union. And so he went on this reform effort. And I was really struck all day long just thinking, my, how we have mismanaged that opportunity where the Soviet Union came out, became something different, started down a road. Look at Pizza Hut ads, celebrating at the Super Bowl, and yet that was mismanaged. And I can't help but think about Europe and how Europe was mismanaged. Mikhail Gorbachev really focused on Europe and uniting Europe and trying to not have a civil war that would not help Europe. He was cognizant of Europe. But now we have Putin, who is leveraging energy into Europe, and we had the Germans, who benefited the most from Gorbachev, suddenly forgetting that lesson and trusting Putin, and now we're in a wild, terrible situation with Germans and the Europeans in a mess because of the leverage that the Russians have on energy over them.
Rick, we don't have a lot of time left, but, Gorbachev, he was a Time title recipient. He got Person of the Decade as well as Person of the Year. He had a complicated legacy, but how do you think people will look back and remember him?
Just real quickly, I honored Ronald Reagan on top of the U.S. Embassy in Germany. If you ever have a chance to go see the Ronald Reagan Terrace, it's pretty amazing. But we put up there the speech that Ronald Reagan gave, so you can watch the speech, watch looking down where the Berlin Wall fell. And it's all about Gorbachev. It was Gorbachev deciding not to fight allowing Germany to really begin the process of being a united Germany. Chancellor Merkel once told me that George H.W. Bush was really the one that she celebrated the most because he helped unite Germany. But I would say that Germany would not be united, and we certainly would have had wars throughout Europe if it was not for Gorbachev really having a vision to say, not now, now's not the time, let's reform.
Well, Ambassador Rick Grenell, we always love having you here. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
All the best.